So what we're going to do in this video is take an introductory look at pressure groups, okay? Really look at what they are, give a couple of examples, and look at the general roles that pressure groups sort of fulfill within the UK political system, okay? So pressure groups, their most basic definition is that they're just a group of simply of like-minded individuals who come together. That should be an C. Who come together on the basis of shared interests to put pressure on the governments in order to influence policy development. Okay, so pressure groups exist at a number of different levels within the UK, because the UK is seen as more of a sort of quasi-federalist state. Okay, so we look at, there are local pressure groups, there are more regional pressure groups, there are national pressure groups, so the pressure groups for the whole country, and then there are also international pressure groups, which did relate to pressure groups and the relations with the European Union. Not so much anymore, however. Pressure groups are generally more numerous than political parties, because whereas the parties tend to sort of aggregate and accommodate a wide range of views, pressure groups will generally fragment opinion. Political parties are seen as almost catch-all parties or umbrella parties. They appeal to a wide number of different opinions and different views to get as many different votes as possible to get elected into public office, whereas pressure groups will generally be more specific and specialised. Okay. At the emergence of the 20th century, we have seen the emergence of social movements, which are similar to pressure groups, okay? But social movements are different to pressure groups in that they have a little bit less organisational structure, okay? So a single issue pressure group or protest movement a single issue group is a pressure group or protest movement that focuses on what we call a single issue, okay, as opposed to a range of interests that are underpinned by a broader policy or ideology. They are focused on a single issue, and an example of this is the pressure group Fathers for Justice or Greenpeace. Okay, so Greenpeace is dealing with the environment, a single issue being the environment, and Fathers for Justice is a pressure group that focuses on getting fathers justice within the family law courts. Okay, so pressure groups were more common in the 50s and 60s. Okay, many political theories have suggested there has been a rise in the last 20 years of a new pressure group politics. So in the 50s and 60s, pressure groups were numerous in terms of quantity, and then they sort of dropped off again in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And the last 20 years is seen as a sort of a new age of pressure groups, okay, which is why we call it the new pressure group politics. The idea of new pressure group politics characterizes the rise of more loosely organized social movements, protest movements, and direct action and grassroots activities. Okay, so not only has there been a slight increase in actual official pressure groups, but also an increase in social movements and protest movements. So let's have a general look at what the roles of pressure groups are. Okay, so pressure groups are said to have a number of different roles within the UK system. One of those roles is participation. Okay, pressure groups do provide citizens with what they call an avenue for participation in the political process. Okay, this is especially true when it comes to being between elections, since generally, according to as of time of recording, the Fixed Term Parliament Act makes it so elections occur every 5 years. So if there's no other kind of way to participate in politics, then you're only participating in politics every 5 years if you're a sort of general voter. And pressure groups sort of provide an avenue, provide a way for people to participate more in politics during those lower times between elections. Okay. However, this does generally go against what we would call the trustee model of democracy, which states that MPs should be free to use their judgment as elected representatives. So we've elected representatives as trustees, okay, to make policy decisions on our behalf. However, if we've got pressure groups that allow the public to get involved in politics on the day-to-day basis, then that sort of goes against this model of democracy. Okay. However, by engaging citizens in the political process, pressure groups are able to moderate and check the views of MPs. Okay, so the pressure groups are almost seen as a check on elected representatives. Because if we just elect them and then just let them do what they want for 5 years, the argument being is that they will not do what is in the best public interest. If we've got pressure groups to sort of check them and keep them in place, we can find that they do that. Another role of pressure group is representation. Pressure groups naturally increase representation by aggregating and articulating the common interests or concerns of a given group of individuals. Okay, so contemporary political parties are often criticised for being too catch-all or an umbrella in nature. Okay, so the idea that they just appeal to a broad range of policy ideas, just try and attract as many people as possible to vote for them. So they've got manifestos that are focused on every aspect of society and a huge range of ideas. Okay, there are less single issue parties nowadays. Okay, so pressure groups are effectively the opposite. They're able to represent specific interests and specific ideas. And there's one here. Okay, so the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children is a pressure group that serves to protect the rights of those who are pro-life at a time when abortion is legal in the UK. Whatever the opinions of abortion are, this pressure group serves to protect the rights of those who disagree with it, okay, at a time when it is actually legal in the UK to have an abortion. And this is the single issue that this pressure group does. This pressure group doesn't deal with the environment. It doesn't deal with anything else, okay? The only thing it deals with is the protection of unborn children. And that's really just a summation of what we've got here, okay? So we've taken a little introduction into pressure groups, we've defined what they are, we've given a few examples of different pressure groups, and we'll be giving more throughout this little video series, and we've looked at their general roles within society and within the political system.